Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Mindset Boosters podcast. Today, we have the amazing Zain Jeewanjee with us today. Zain, welcome to the program.
Umar, how are you? Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Super excited. You're actually visiting Toronto, and you'll be coming to one of the open chapters to give us a little talk. So super excited about that. And so, when did you first come to North America?
Oh boy, that was about 4 weeks ago in 1983. Um,
1983.
I think it was February 1983.
So did you come as a businessman, or did you come as a good employee and then go into your own business after that?
So I was born in Kenya, East Africa, in 1955. So that makes me almost 72 years old. And we migrated to Karachi, Pakistan in 1960. And I grew up in Karachi, went to a school called KGS, Karachi Grammar School, had a good life. 71, I did my O levels, which is one of the reasons I've come to Toronto. We have a reunion of all class of 71.
Oh, what
Uh,
fun.
yeah, it is, it is. And a pretty amazing batch of kids. And 71, I graduated with my O levels. And then Pakistan, there was a war with India, and East Pakistan fell. And my nana and all had factories there, but we lived in Karachi, so we were kind of my grandfather lost all the factories,
Mm.
and so we had to manage our life. I had with me a Levi's jacket, and a friend wanted it, and we were struggling for money, so I made a copy of that Levi's jacket. Uh, and that became the first denim introduction in Pakistan. And we became pretty hot. By 1979, 1983, we were just hot, hot. We were very good at it. And then we created a big company. So at the age of 15 and a half, I started my first company in manufacturing fashion clothing in Pakistan. That was my first company. Um, in 1979, I got married to my lovely wife, Farzana.
Mm.
Um, and in 1980, we had our first child, Misbah, born our daughter. And at the age of 6 months, we lost her. She passed away.
Oh.
Another 5 months later, my mother died. Another 8 months later, my father died. And another 8 or 10 months later, we had a third child born, Ali. And the doctor said he's suffering from the same thing my first child did. So in 1983, we brought him to the USA for medical treatment. And that's the reason I came to the US, not for any business, not for education. I was running a company in Pakistan, very successful. I ran it for 8 to 10 years and was doing very well, 12 years. It was the hottest thing in Pakistan at that time. And then I had to come here for medical treatment with my son. And we lost him too. And we were left with a huge amount of medical bills, like $103,000 in medical bills
And
in
in those dollars back then.
1983. And so I used to work all night at a gas station, and in the morning I'd work odd jobs. And I thought that other people will have this problem. So I invented the first policy in the U.S., a medical insurance policy for visitors coming into the U.S., a true medical plan.
Mm.
We had Seabury and Smith, the carrier, and we wrote it through them, and that's the story.
Interesting. I'm going to backtrack a little bit because there was a couple of highlights there. Number one, the way you described your wife. It wasn't my wife. It was my lovely wife. And that's one of the secrets to keeping a beautiful marriage is not losing that sense of wonder and romance, because all those little things count. So my hat's off to you for that. And then
Well,
two,
well, let me tell you, and there's a lesson to be learned here. When you can, when you have relationships, your partnerships when you go into a business, your business partners, your customers, your wife is no different. It's a lot of work on both sides. So
yes.
those who think that it's a party and it'll be fun. So when you're getting married before that, it's like a trailer. It really is. She shows up on her best. You show up on your best. It's after you spend a few days together, did all the fun stuff that you thought you would do, and now the reality hits it, and that's the
Mm,
time your real colors show, and then you go to work. Because if you've lived all your life living in a way, in a style, all of a sudden now you got to change that, and
right,
most cultures unfortunately punish the woman to only change when it should be both ways. Men and women both need to adjust. The men need to adjust more because she left her home. She's in a new bedroom, new furniture, new kitchen. The oven doesn't isn't where it was. The plates aren't where they are. The dishes aren't where they are. She's got to adjust to a lot. So you must accommodate that. Unfortunately, human civilization, men don't do that. And
right.
men, so it's a lot of work. We've been married now, what, 50 years. She's just gone down to, there's a leak, a massive leak, and I sent her as a plumber to fix it. Just a little north from here. It's called Niagara Falls. Um,
Nice.
yeah, yeah. So she's gone on to fix the leak. And she'll do a good job. I know. I trust she does a fantastic. She's gone with all my grammar school friends while I'm working. So that's the success of a marriage is let her have fun and you work.
Most excellent. And certainly losing two kids is a pretty harrowing experience. How did that inform your outlook on life and your outlook on your place in the world?
You know, it was not just losing my kids. Imagine in 28 months, you lose your daughter, your son, your mother, your father, and
Wow.
you're only 21, 22 years old. It's not easy. It's very hard. But I do believe that everything in life that comes to you, because I am, I'm a student of art of living, Sri Sri
Hmm.
Ravi Shankar. I'm a strong believer in the religion of Islam, and I say my Fajr prayers. I think my secret to my success in my life, both financial, emotional, everything has been Fajr. It keeps my sanity on the floor. It keeps my mind grounded. It keeps my humbleness. But when you lose, your next of kin, I mean, mother, father, son, daughter, all together, it's pretty heavy. Um, I think what kept my sanity was my wife was here. We had one child, my Zainab, my daughter, and I had to survive for them. I had to.
Yeah.
So I had no time to devote to anything else. The responsibility was on me. When you take ownership, you become stronger. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether you call him Jesus, Moses, Muhammad, peace be upon all of them, you don't get any more because I do believe that the creator, in whatever form you believe him, is is not a punishing God. He's a God of kindness and forgiveness. So nothing that happens to you is anything that was done to you, anything adversely done to you, and nothing to God had no hand to play in that. You did. Now
There's a
you may
bumper sticker. There's a bumper sticker I like that I saw. It says, uh, God only gives you what you can handle. And the second line was, I wish God didn't trust me so much.
yeah, yeah. So, but he's not a punishing God.
No.
People, ये मेरे बच्चे मर गए because I did something wrong. No, you didn't do anything wrong. It's just that's the way the world works. You know,
So actually, I strongly disagree with you. I
mm,
think the way you're describing it, that is exactly what's happening. But the way the world works is people think I must have done something wrong and God's punishing me. And because we like to tell stories to validate the reality that we're in. And if you have a different relationship with the maker, then you realize that this is not a punishing God. But if you don't have that kind of relationship, then it's like, uh, hey, I did something wrong. I'm being punished. And that's why a lot of people struggle in in business is there's this thought that, hey, God is your partner and let God do the heavy lifting and you just kind of go along for the ride. Or you could choose to do all the heavy lifting and God's like, why are you struggling? So you went through this experience and you had said you decided to start an insurance product that would look after, travelers coming to the US. So where does some crazy African Pakistani man get this idea that I'm going to start this insurance product? Like, how do you go from idea to actually making it real?
Yeah, first of all, in any creation, and I talk a lot about innovation and invention, and I've invented multiple things in the U.S. over the time that I've been here. I invented denim in Pakistan when there was no fashion clothing. 1971, I did the first catwalk in the history of Pakistan for men. In 1971, denim and jeans. There were no denim and jeans concept at that time.
But did
So
they make the material there? Did they
no,
make denim in?
no, they didn't. They didn't. So this. Oh, you brought my grammar school friend out. So H. Nizamuddin's son, they used to make tents.
Mm.
So when my friend wanted this jacket that I had, a Levi's jacket, he said, "Hey, give it to me." We needed money, so I wanted to sell it to him. I went to my tailor and I said, "Can you make me a copy of this?" You're 15 and a half years old. You got a
Mm.
denim jeans. It's a fad in those days. Remember, it's not like jeans you get today.
Oh
In
yeah.
1921, it's a fad. To own a jeans was something else. And I've got pictures, and I'll share them with you of the fashion show itself and the product we made. In fact, one of Pakistan's best fashion designers, Rizwan Beg, will tell you that he used to come to my boutique when he was 8, 10 years old. He told me that he got inspired into fashion because of me.
Oh,
Um,
awesome.
he's a big name. Rizwan Beg is a big name. He's the one who designed Lady Di's gown when she came to Pakistan. So he'll tell you that he was a kid. He would come with his sister and his brother-in-law, who were friends, and would make clothes with me. But anyway, so coming back to the topic of when 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 you struggle hard at something, you see the road bumpy, and you're struggling on that, then you got to invent shock absorbers.
Hmm.
The mind has got to think, hey, I'm going through these bumps on this car. You bought this Mustang, and every time you go on a bump, it hurts you. Your brain should automatically think, what can I do better here? How can I improve the shock? So what do?
Hmm.
You go stop at Walmart, buy a pillow, and put it under your bump.
Right.
That is creativity. That, by the way, I talked about yesterday at a conference at the UPNA conference in Florida, day before yesterday. It's called innovation and creativity is something that AI will not be able to do at the speed for at least, I think, 4 to 5 years, because we've got 30, 40,000, hundreds of thousands of years of genetics that have made us innovators. AI can take all the data and give a resource. You know what AI is basically? I pick my phone up and say, "Hey, Qaid Azam, can you tell me this war going on in Iran and Iraq? How would you handle it?" You didn't have the choice. I didn't have the choice. The younger generation can't do that. They can go to
Right.
Shakespeare and say, "Hey, Shakespeare, can you write this poem for me in my words?" And Shakespeare will do it. You did not have that 20 years ago. You and I didn't, right? So that I think you can, but what you can't do is creativity. So the humans that are going to be creative are the ones who are going to win in this game with AI. So when I lost my son, I saw these bills. I said, well, other people will have this problem. So I said, let's create it. It doesn't exist. Now this is where God helps you.
Right.
God helped me. God Himself came into the room and He said, Zain, I think you're in trouble. You've got lots of these bills. I need to help you. And I said, well, God, I made this travel insurance product. And God said, okay, wait a minute. Let me do this. I'm going to make it particularly that in Silicon Valley, I'm going to import a whole bunch of Indians and I'll make the companies not buy any insurance for their spouses. Otherwise, I could have been in Toronto. I could have been in London for this medical problem. I would have had no problem. Bills would have been paid by National Health, right?
Right.
Or even if they didn't pay my bill, if I couldn't have created a product for that because they have National Health. America didn't have National Health. Indians came into South Asians came into Silicon Valley in hundreds of thousands of numbers, and their spouses needed medical insurance, and they wouldn't have a social security number in the early '90s. And I'd build a product. I, in fact, there's an article in Forbes which talks about how I envisioned this explosion of foreign. Really, Umar, I had no clue. I'd made a product for need. I had no clue there was going to explosion of. So what happens when you invent stuff and your intention is clean? There are powers about that all work together to conspire to make your dreams come true.
So, two things there. Number one, you use the word intention. When your intention is clean, I think intention in business and in life, but in business specifically, sometimes gets lost as a critical element of what we do. So, I think that's critical. And then the other one is clarity. When you have clarity in what you want, the universe bends over backwards. When you have a nebulous idea, then the universe is like, "What do you want? I don't get it." So excellent. So who did you have to sell this concept to get somebody to underwrite this new product that you invented?
So there was a company called Seabury and Smith, and they had a product, but it was designed for embassy staff coming to Washington D.C.
Hmm.
or a foreign delegation from France comes over to Florida. And they used to do that, and then special only for the ships and cruise liners in Florida, their staff that worked there. But they
Right.
didn't have it for visitors and travelers. And so I went to them, and they said, "We can't do this. There'll be too many pre existing conditions." True. Sick people will come here for sick. So I said, "Okay, exclude it. Make it just accidental." They said, "Oh, accidental, that's nothing. We won't cover anything." I said, "That's the idea. Don't cover anything." And so when Umar came only and fell down, suddenly got an indigestion because he ate something, or got in a car accident,
Right.
or was mountain climbing and something happened, or suddenly got something that didn't exist before, that was covered. And that was the intent. And it worked.
Oh,
And, and
excellent.
and it was just luck. I've always. I'm writing a book, by the way. It's called, and I hope your listeners will not ask me for the book right away. I'm trying to complete it. The title of the book is "I Get Everything in Life 2 days Before the Need Arises," and
That's a catchy title.
that's my true story of my life. Anything I need will automatically pop up in my lap. It's incredible how things happen. Like I'm just talking to you, somebody will come up and say, "Excuse me, can I take this fork?" I'll give it to him. And he'll say, "Okay, here's my fork." I'll go outside and I'll say, "Hey, I want to buy these red glasses that Umar had." And guess what? He'll say, "Here's my card. If you ever need anything, thank you for giving the." And I look at it and say, "Manufacturer of red glasses."
Yep.
This, this happens to me at least twice a week. And I'm 72 years and it's happened my entire life. I meet people that I need right away. I just met somebody in Florida that asked me for a favor. I said, "I'll do it." And then this morning, I got a call from California. Somebody said that we need to be connected to this person. And that person is connected directly to that person I met in Florida. It happens to me all the time.
Most excellent.
I'm so lucky.
So recently, I'm not sure how recently, you decided to give your fortune away. Before you did that, how many companies did you have, and what did that look like? I think it was a meeting where you had Warren Buffett sitting on your table, and he asked you a question. What was the question that he asked you?
Let me tell you the Warren Buffett story. It's really funny. It's really funny. You get those pushing the emails from Nigeria.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, send me your bank account and I'll transfer money. So I get one of those, so I delete it. I get another one, I delete it. And what was it's so funny, the email. So I got a call from Tom Neary, the president of USLI. He said, "Mr. Jeewanjee, we sent you 2 emails. We haven't got a response. Can you tell us if we will be coming or not?" And I said, I thought they were junk. And the reason I thought they were junk, it said, Dear Mr. Zain Jeewanjee, blah, 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 blah. Warren Buffett will be there and he wants to meet you and you'll be on his table and blah, blah, blah. And please send us your date of birth and address so we can send you air tickets and hotel reservations so you'll come on our expense. Please come to Omaha, Nebraska and spend the time with us, with Mr. Warren Buffett. I said, yeah, sure. Warren Buffett.
Bullshit. Delete.
Warren Buffett's going to send me airfare tickets
Yeah.
and hotel stay because he wants to meet me for 2.5 hours. They'll eat. And so we met him. And then, Farzana, my wife, my lovely wife, was sitting on my left, and Warren Buffett's on the right. And Warren turned around and said, and so what will you do with all this money? I had no answer. I had no answer. What will he do with them? And I ask all the listeners out here. I have a line I write now. It says, chase the finish line, not the prize.
Mm,
Chase the finish line. I run about 12 companies right now in different areas. And all the companies I run, I'm not chasing the money or the exit or how much money I'll make. I chase the fun of making it.
right.
I said something else in Karachi last week at the IBA Institute. I was speaking there and I said this. We generally have a tendency to think about ourselves. We next think of our children. We then think of our parents. And then we think of our wife in that order
Right.
in Pakistan. We think of ourselves, myself, not ourselves, myself. Then I think of my kids. Then I think of my parents. And then my wife. And that order is wrong. The order we should think about, if I'm going to make this fork, I'm going to make this cell phone, I should think first, what is it going to do to the kainat, to the humanity? Then think what it'll do for the welfare of my country, in my case, United States. What would it do to this country?
Right.
Then I'll think of the third one, which is my family. And my family consists of my mother, my kids, my father, my wife, and me. All of us together. No
Mm,
priority, no priority in that order of that. And that's how we think. When you think of a product like that, when you think of humanity, you think of what good it will do to humanity, not how much money you make. So you'll work harder for it. When it doesn't get money, it doesn't become very good and make a lot of money, you don't get depressed because you're trying to do something good for humanity. And I tell you, that really is the inspiration for any founder, entrepreneur, is when he's doing good all the time. It's fun.
but the reality is, I agree 100% with what you said. The reality is, oftentimes, our leaders, there's so few great leaders that we write books about them, make movies about them, because it's an odd thing for someone to think beyond themselves or think of the mission that's more important than their ego. So you must have coached other leaders that had lots of promise, that were focused on the number, the Lamborghini. And can you think of one of those relationships where you were being a mentor to one of those younger leaders or older leader, and you got them to the other side of that, where they actually? Before I ask that question, let me just share one thing that I thought was really funny: the three stages of man. You believe in Santa Claus, you don't believe in Santa Claus, and you are Santa Claus. And that's kind of what you're describing, right? So tell me about somebody you mentored and you got them to see that or transform to that.
I've mentored a lot of people from day one because I've been privileged. I've never worked for a company, a corporate account, or anyone.
Mm,
I've never been employed. I've always been self-employed. So I really am not the best in organizing things, execution things, a lot of things because nobody taught me. After my O levels, I did my MBA through a program because I was working full time. I think one of the I've got several people I'm thinking of who I can pick out that. Yeah, I think one of my best people I've coached was somebody who worked for me as my assistant,
Right.
and he's now in Qatar, I think.
Mm,
And the tricks in trade, he sent me a very good message on LinkedIn. His name is Hassan, I'll mention it. And he wrote a big message. He said, "Now I realize what you taught,
mm.
why it's so valuable." And I talk about ethics very big when I teach my employees and my teams, people under me. Don't break the rule. Never break the rule. The rules are made to protect a lot of people, including yourself. Don't do that, because if you follow the rules, you'll do better. Work a little harder and get your standard a little better. Once you wear those red glasses, the next time I give you a dull, boring gray glasses, you won't enjoy that.
Mm.
You won't, right? Because once you raise your standard, you don't want to bring it down. So keep raising your standard. Work for excellence, not for completion.
So
Work
give
for
me
not for completion.
so give me the distinction between rules. You have to follow the rules and process, because in lots of companies, especially sales teams, we have process, and oftentimes the people fight the process. So what's the distinction between rules and process in what you were talking about?
So I'm talking about rules, I'm talking about laws. And there
Okay.
are three laws you got to follow. One is the law of the land, right? The second, law of your cultural belief, your God, whatever. Don't break that. The third is your own law. Build your own law. I will not do this. I don't
Right.
smoke. I don't party. I don't drink. I build my own law. I go to the gym every morning. It's my law. God didn't tell me to do this every morning. He did tell me to reach Fajr, which is a form of exercise, but he didn't tell me to go to the gym and pick up lifts, weights every day. He didn't. God didn't tell me this. The Bible didn't tell me, and the U.S. law doesn't tell me I got to go to the gym.
Right.
So you have to have a combination of all three laws. As long as those laws benefit someone, do not harm someone. So if my law was to have a beer every morning and then have another one an hour later, and another 1 hour later, and another hour, and I was non-Muslim in some religion that doesn't care, and there's no law telling me I can't drink 20 beers a day. Not in the U.S., not anywhere in the world. I mean, there's some countries in the world,
Right.
but but there it isn't a law in every country, right? But I must make a law as long as it doesn't harm me. That law should not harm me. So you must have three laws, and that's fundamentally to govern yourself to greatness, because every law is made to prevent a major calamity or damage. Tell me any law in the world. Mention any law. Give me three laws.
Okay. Carmel, California. It was like you can't serve ice cream on Sundays. I think that was the reason Clint Eastwood ran for mayor and became mayor, was to say this is a ridiculous law of the land. But it was the law of the land.
Okay, so at the time they did it, there must be some reason. Maybe the crowds were getting too big in ice cream, and the other people who
Yeah.
closed the drop. There must be a reason that the law was made. And then the logic later said that this does not cause any harm. For example, um, there's a law that you must see the moon before you break your fast or start your fast among the Muslims,
Right.
right? Now, at the time of the prayers of the afternoon, the law was the Prophet, peace be upon him, would take a nail, hit a hammer on the nail, put it on the ground when there's no shadow. That meant the sun is right on the top It's time to say the prayers.
Mm.
Well, why do I look at my Rolex watch and do it now? Because this mechanism is available to do the process that that does. So the laws should be modified.
Yes.
You now with the pollution and stuff, sometimes you may not be able to see glaucoma in your eyes. You may not be able to see the moon, but you have now. I can actually pinpoint the moon exactly when it's going to be set for the next 5 years. Now there is part of religion. I'm a Bora. The Boras look at the calendar, the Egyptian calendar. It's calculated. So the laws are made at the time they were to work in the system. Now imagine how brilliant is this? I'm going to give you one. How brilliant is this? America saves light by doing daylight saving.
Yes.
So when it's dark, you sleep through. When the sun comes early, you wake up to save energy. Right? What a brilliant idea! Does Canada do that?
Yes.
You do it. Many Western countries do it. Now, what if I told you I've got a magic wand that I'll make it automatic? Islam does that. Islam is daylight saving built in the religion. You know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, it did. It says wake up when the fajr, when the sun rises.
Mm.
It adjusts every day. It doesn't adjust 1 hour every 12 months. It adjusts every day by minute, seconds, exactly pinpointing precisely to when the sun gets up. What a brilliant daylight saving program.
Yep. That's pretty cool.
But we don't use it in that way. And then it tells you to do yoga immediately when you get up, which Sri Ravi Shankar, who Art of Living I follow, tells me to do the same. Do yoga in the morning, stretch your body, touch your toes, stretch your neck left and right. So these laws were made at the time when humanity didn't have ways to understand these laws. If 1500 years ago I told you get up every morning and touch your toes, stretch your arms, wash your face, refresh, you say, is he crazy? Right? Go ahead. Continue.
So, laws of the land, your religious beliefs, laws that come there, and then your personal beliefs. So you're in an organization and you've got two VPs because a lot of CEOs sometimes they'll share with me, it's like, hey Umar, sometimes it's like I'm running a kindergarten. VP A doesn't get along with VP B. And sometimes it's their own laws or their own values on doing a particular thing are not aligned. So how do you handle that? Because then you're actually laying down that, hey, this as a culture in the organization, this is how we do it.
Yeah. So I've never led a 20,000, 30,000 person
Mm.
company as yet. I will, but haven't done it as yet. Um, I'll tell you I usually hire people on emotional basis. I don't look at their resume as much as I look at their character.
Right.
If they're, positive nature, doers, there have got to be some characteristics that I look at ethics very big.
Right.
Fundamentally, how many, what have they done in the past, etc. Are they drivers? Once I select that, so if I look at I had another assistant like that, and she works now somewhere else, and she was amazing. And in that leadership, what I found is so it's the interview process. I determine if this is the right fit for my culture of my company. That's going to match first. So for example, if you and I are going to be friends, and I go to your house the first day, and no offense to anyone at all, let's say you and I'm just taking an example, and all I see is, you got these um, um, bottles and bottles of vodka and whiskey everywhere, and you come in pour 15 glass, and I don't drink it all. I'm just giving an example. I'll be okay to associate with you as a friend, but I really won't go out every weekend with you because I won't
Yeah.
enjoy the company. So the culture, and then we're sitting there and you bitching about some religion, and you're saying Hindus are all wrong and Muslims are all wrong, and I don't do that. So we won't get along because we don't think alike.
Right.
So I want my culture of my company, always leaders should pick people up based on the culture of the company. And the culture of the company is the credo you must always maintain, whatever that be. I remember Steve Jobs telling me, and not me, but having said that he hired people when he was hiring people in the early days of computer of Apple. He wouldn't look at the resume as much as he would look. He used to love people who wanted to work on the computer on your Mac. They were more excited
Mm,
than working, getting the job. He'd hire them because they loved the computer. Because his culture was about how much passion you have on the. So you gotta do the same thing. I love people who are passionate, hardworking, ethics are strong, will drive the company. I don't like lazy people. So that's the first thing. Once you get them, then how do you train them to do that? You do that by behavioral patterns that you insist on every time. I'll give you an example of your dog. We had a German Shepherd we've had German Shepherds all our life.
mhm.
I had one, I had one, and my kids had one. The kids in San Jose, when they used to live with me, now they're all in the 40s, when they were teenagers, as soon as I drive in the driveway, my car sound, my
Right,
German Shepherd would know that the master of the house is back in. He would get out of our living room and go and sit outside because I would not allow the dog in my house because I pray every day. My kids didn't care. The dog always came in when the kids were there, but never came in when I came in
right.
because the leader's culture was followed. So in your company, the employees come in, they may have any culture, but when they're in the environment of your company, that culture must be maintained. The leader must do that too, which means if he wants everybody to work early in the morning, then he should come at 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock himself. He shouldn't come strolling in at 10, 11, as many parts of the world, their countries, where people don't come to state, never comes to work till 10, 11 o'clock. You can't ask your workers to do that if you're not doing it.
That'd be true. So, Zane, at one point we were talking about Warren Buffett. You made a decision that, okay, I am going to make a difference in the world. I don't want to give all my money to the tax man. So walk us through that, please.
First of all, I think it makes it sound really big, like I had hundreds of millions of dollars. I didn't have hundreds of millions of dollars. It was a very small amount. I had an exit with the company, and we got some money, a good amount of money, and I and my wife were talking, and I did not make the decision alone. I've never made a decision that's accurate without taking my wife into it. And I've never I made a lot of decisions wrong when I didn't listen to my wife or I didn't take her advice.
Isn't that annoying?
No, it's not annoying. It's actually good because then I don't take the blame. I give it to
Yeah.
her. She makes the right decision. You know, remember, your wife is your best partner
Mm,
because she actually has financial interest in your growth. Even if she's going to divorce you, she still wants you to make more money. Even if she hates you, doesn't love you, she still wants you to make more money. So why don't
right.
you advise her? And she gives you a totally different perspective from outside, but not anything that's biased because of personal benefits. It's biased for the interests of the family. So anyway, I don't know what the question was. I forgot. I think you asked me. Um,
So you had an exit. You had a nice exit from a company.
so here's what happened. We were, and there was this gentleman met me in a revolving door in Marriott in Houston, and I was coming out and he was going in, and somebody was on the phone telling me, he said, "Hey, you must meet this guy. He's come to Houston from Pakistan. You must meet him." And I'm visiting Houston, and I'm going through this revolving door, and this man is coming out. I say, "Yeah, yeah, sure, I'll meet him," and but I'm leaving on a flight in another 15, 20 minutes. And then this guy comes out outside, and he looks at me. I look at him, and it looks like we know each other, but we don't. And I go outside and go in the car and go to the airport. Well, that guy was the person this guy wanted me to meet.
Right.
What are the odds? Remember, I get everything in life 2 days before I need it.
Yes.
And a week later, I come back to Houston, and there's this gentleman that owns like 3, 4,000. franchises, and I'm trying to sell him some insurance, medical benefits, and workers' comp for his company. So we're having lunch. On his lunch, I and my wife, by the way, we go to every India Pakistan game at the venue where it's being played on a cricket match. So I've
Mhm.
seen 2003 every game that India Pakistan has played at the venue. So we've never missed one, except for one in the last one in Dubai, because Pakistan was not supposed to go in the final, and suddenly, while we were going back from Dubai, Pakistan got in the final. So we missed that match. But otherwise, I've seen all the 20, 30 games or 40 games that Pakistan's played. Um, so I go to have lunch with this potential customer, and I tell him, I say, hey, listen, you know what? I've got tickets. I've got a room, a corporate room in Australia on the Pakistan-India game in the World Cup. Now these Umar are sought out tickets. You can't
I
even get
bet.
a ticket, and I've got the whole booth. So he says, I said, why don't you come? I'd like to take you. You come to Australia with us, and we'll take you to the game. He says, yeah, 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 But I'm going there. Why don't we go to Ziyarat? I'm going to Ziyarat. Why don't you also come? We're going to Ziyarat to Iraq. Now I look at it and think of it, and I'm the salesman. I'm saying, oh, shit, I don't want to go to Ziyarat. I mean, you know. But my wife has been saying for many years, we must go to Ziyarat, Iraq.
Mm.
And I said, okay. The customer is saying, I'm going to make him a potential customer if I go to Ziyarat. Now it becomes emotionally, religiously together, and then we go to the cricket match. It'll be just amazing. So I say, yes. We go to Ziyarat, and they tell me who's leading the Ziyarat, who's taking the group out. Is the guy in the revolving door.
Oh, hilarious.
Now, this doesn't happen. And who is he? He is Wasif Rizvi, the president of Habib University. And the gentleman on the phone was telling me, talk to him because you should donate money to the Habib University. And what happens is, I'm at the shrine of Imam Ali, and there I meet him. He's taking me leading the prayers. Then he comes back and he says, you should donate to this. And I looked at the cause, and I think the only cause in Pakistan that needs to be addressed is education. But I want to address the upper education,
Right.
the university level. So LUMS, IBA, Habib University, and institutes like that, NUST, those ones. So we decided I want to give money to them. Now we got this exit. Now, of course, I didn't have millions and millions and millions of dollars at that time. When I decided, I thought I was going to give a couple of 100,000 or something, 500,000, maybe $1 million, something. All of a sudden, I'm exiting a company. The partner says, I was one-fourth of the partner. The partner says I'll get some $500,000 on the exit. I'm buying my company back. And turns out I got a almost 20, 30, 40, 50 times that amount. I get that amount, and I've just met this guy a week ago on Habib University. Now we're contemplating, do we give half to the IRS and keep half ourselves, which would be 20, 30 million. What will you do with that, right? If we give all of it away, we decide to give it all away. And that's
Superb. And other than doing that, what would make that a bigger win for you?
it was a bigger win. When you're not possessed by possessions, you are free. That freedom, Umar, is a different level. When you're not owned, so I have no fear now. I've run 12 companies every month to month. We try to give everything away. I don't have hundreds of millions of dollars in my bank. I've got no pressure. There's such a great feeling when you're a giver. That's why Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, all these people gave all their wealth away. Money has got nothing to do with you. I come from three generations of wealth. My great grandfather, my dada, was one of the richest men in Africa. In 1897, he had 30,000 employees. 30,000 employees in 1897 is not a small number.
No.
Yeah. His name was Ali Bhai Mullah Jeewanjee. He laid the railroad all over Africa. He was the Union Pacific guy of Africa with the British. Money's got nothing to do with who you are. You're free to move around, think freely. Now, if you ask me a question and I'm worried I'll lose a customer, I don't fear that. I'll tell you the truth. I don't care what others think about my thoughts. And they're clean. And I care about the weak and the poor and the humble and the not so fortunate. And there's so many of them. There's so many people that don't have the same luck that you and I do. They were born in the same world. They don't have the
Absolutely.
same fortune.
Next time we have a conversation, I'd like to focus it on money itself. And the reason I want to focus it on money is our relationship with money has so much to do with how well we do in life.
100%.
And if you are, somebody pointed this out once, which is kind of interesting. It says, somebody that doesn't is worried about money when they go to pay their bill or give a tip, they look in their wallet, they get the money out, and they have it ready in their hand to do the transaction. People that have wealth doesn't mean that they have more money, but they had a wealthy mental attitude. Don't do that. They just go there and then they don't worry about that dollar amount. It's kind of interesting.
I wanna break your conversation there and thought
Hmm.
process. I want to make sure I bring this out because I'll forget. I'll tell you a secret. Please don't tell anyone.
Hmm.
It's going to be between you and me alone. Every time,
Yes.
every time you give, I swear to God, you get more than you can envision.
Mhm.
Every time you give. Don't tell everybody because everybody does that. They'll all become rich. We don't want the world to be rich, do we? We want just me to be rich. If everybody starts giving, the world, I tell you, I can't tell you how many times I've given. Immediately I get back in much bigger amounts than I could have envisioned.
Yeah, it's kind of like in all the great religions of the world, tithing is a critical element of it because it gives people think it's charity, but it's really a mindset. It says I've got abundance, I've got more than I need, and the more you take out of your hands, the more space there is to receive more. And so sometimes those ancient wisdoms get lost in our intellectualism, and we lose the true meaning, the intent. That was one of the things I pointed out at the beginning of our conversation. What was the intent of that? The intent wasn't to force you to give charity. The intent was to make you feel grateful and abundant.
Yep, yep, yep. Absolutely.
And Zain, I am grateful and abundant from having this conversation with you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day. If there was one piece of advice you could give our listeners, what would that one piece of advice be?
Knowledge is now a commodity, but innovation isn't. Creative thinking isn't. Just think about solving major problems. There are, God bless us, we have so many problems in the world.
Mm,
Each one of us focuses on one problem. You have now the power. You don't need labor. You have the entourage of information available. Work on it. Everybody should make one agent in the next week. Make an AI agent yourself. It doesn't matter if you know technology or not. Do that. That's my one advice. Everybody should be learning AI today.
absolutely. Superb. Once again, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
And we'll have a nice conversation on the after party.